Shioso. He is the Director General of the Kenya Coast Guard Service. Send in your questions actually on what you'd like to know as far as the operations of the service are concerned, even as we'll be actually highlighting what they have been doing and what they will be doing during this particular festive season. And later on our program, I'll be sitting down with the Honorable James Gakuye Mbakasi, North Member of Parliament, and as well two analysts, that is Reverend Mark Echakara, who is a political and governance expert, and as well I'll be hosting this morning Jackson Goima, who is also a political analyst as far as the changes, the reshufflement of the cabinet, where, for instance, the Kipchumba Murkomen will take over the interior docket, and of course the likes of Mutahi Kagwe, who is the former health cabinet secretary, will now make a comeback as the new agriculture boss, even as of course the former sports cabinet secretary Babu Namwamba has been reappointed to represent now Kenya at the UNEP, that is here in Nairobi. And some of the former cabinet secretaries now, if I'm to refer to them as so, that is Andrew Karanja, who served as the agriculture boss, will be moved to serve as an ambassador of Kenya to Brazil. Now, the former Kiambu governor, that is William Kafogo, has been nominated to the ICT docket, and Governor Lee Kinyanjui, that is the former Nakuru governor, has also been allocated the trade docket. Salim Vuria has been moved to the sports docket following, remember, the nomination of Kipchumba Murkomen to the interior docket. This is what we'll be highlighting and what it means moving forward, the cabinet reshuffle, an announcement that was made late last evening. Start the conversation via social media at K24 TV, at Joel Chacha, as well on SMS and WhatsApp numbers on the bottom of your screens, and actually I'll be glad to sample some of them before wrapping up New Dawn this morning. But even before highlighting that particular story that will come at around 7 to 8 a.m., we begin with this, where Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has defended the use of lethal force by police, stating that it can be applied when an officer's life is at risk. Speaking during a joint press briefing last evening, the DP denied issuing a shoot-to-kill order and rejected responsibility for the deaths of 60 individuals, clarifying that the Ministry of Interior, not his office, oversees police operations.
Police operations, especially in engaging protesters or people who are seen as breaching the peace, is the province for the independent command of the National Inspector General of the National Police Service. As far as I'm concerned, the 2 years I have been the country's interior minister, every single day of them, when I woke up to do my work, to make sure that the security organs of our country that protect our country from threats, security threats, perform their work, and should they require any policy guidance, that guidance is provided. And that's all what I can say. And I said it. And they say is this, that police officers are allowed to use force, including lethal force, in exceptional circumstances. Should any officer violate the strict parameters of those circumstances, they are accountable under the law. And we said many times, not once, not even in the context of the protests alone, but also in the context of the fight against terror and the fight against banditry and other organized crime, that any police officer who uses their firearm lawfully within the Constitution, including lethal force, has legal protection. But so any of them who exceeds the parameters of the Constitution is on their own, and the organs of accountability is not the Interior Minister.
Meanwhile, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki last evening oversaw the signing of an agreement between doctors and the Ministry of Health that will now see the nationwide strike, initially set for December 22nd, effectively called off. The agreement, which was also signed by the Council of Governors, that is a COG, will see in turn doctors paid a salary of 206,000 Kenya shillings in accordance with the collective bargaining agreement, that is a CBA, signed between the government and the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Pharmacists and Dentists Union, that is a KMPDU, in 2017. Led by the Secretary General, Dr. Davji Atela, they have also noted that it was agreed during the meeting that the basic salary arrears will be paid.
And the collective bargaining agreement signed in 2017 to 2021 has not been bastardized, but has been protected and sanctified. And in today's agreement, the interns doctors can actually check their pay slips tomorrow on Saturday, and they'll see the confirmations that they'll be getting their full salaries. This is an appreciation and a commitment that we've seen today. And we believe that we don't always have to progress on industrial actions before issues are resolved. And that's why we appreciate the commitment. And I want to advise our doctors all across the counties to start checking their pay slips, checking the banks, because this has been paid through a voucher system on these particular monies. Otherwise, we appreciate the commitment, and we believe that when you work together with government, when you work together with our employers, we will always have these issues resolved, and discussion continues far beyond the industrial action time.
We want to assure KPMDU that the remaining parts of any agreement, including the adjustments that we said will push to 2025-26, will be adhered to, will be achieved, and that we will, as COG, do our best to avoid another industrial action that puts our health sector into disarray.
We are very pleased to announce to the nation that the strike, which had been called by the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union, has been called off as a result of very, very intense negotiations that have been carried out in the last few days behind the scenes in the spirit of confidence building and utmost good faith. In that vein, I would like to thank the union. I want to thank the Council of Governors, and I also want to thank the Ministry of Health for facing this matter patriotically and in the interest of the country. And therefore, even as the country goes into the festive season, we are glad that we can now sigh with relief that our hospitals, our public hospitals, will be operating, because our doctors are going to continue providing health services, which is their calling.
Away from that, opposition leaders have strongly criticized the assumption of office of the President and Transition of Executive Authority Bill of 2024, alleging that it is an ill-intentioned scheme designed to influence and rig the 2027 presidential election. They claim the proposed legislation undermines democratic principles and poses a threat to free and fair electoral process in the country. Led by Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, the leaders also revealed the intention of forming a unified front to oust the current government.
The arrival of the four opposition leaders, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, DAP-K leader Eugene Wamalwa, Jubilee Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni, and former Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu in Runyenjes, Embu County, marked the beginning of a strategic political alliance aimed at unseating President William Ruto in the 2027 elections. The leaders urged Kenyans to join hands and oppose any attempt by Ruto-led government to change constitution without following the due processes led by the constitution.
Wangapi wanasema hatutaki katiba ibadilishwe kiolela Wangapi wanasema hiyo?
Addressing a public rally at Karurumo Market following a burial ceremony, the leaders described the assumption of office of the president and transition of Executive Authority Bill 2024 as dangerous and mischievous. They warned that the proposals are likely to fuel public suspicion regarding the credibility of the presidential election results, particularly at a time when Kenyans have expressed their waning trust in Kenya Kwanza government.
Ati wanasema watapitisha sheria kwamba ambaye anakuwa rais aapishwe baada ya masaa 24 na katiba inasema ni lazima kuwe na kipindi cha miezi I think siku 14. Kwa mfano kama kuna mtu mlalamisha anaenda kwa mahakama kuu, alafu akimaliziwa hiyo ndio yule ambaye amechaguliwa anaweza sasa kulingana na uamuzi wa mahakama anaapishwa kama rais wa jamhuri.
The leaders declared their unwavering support for former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, signaling a united front in their bid to challenge the current administration.
Leo tuwasema aliyekuwa naibu wa rais Gachagua ameungana na upinzani Kalonzo Wamalwa na hii team, tunaambia Ruto tsunami inakuja.
Mambo ya Ruto kwenda nyumbani, Wakenya wote kila pembe ya Kenya hii wamekubali. Sisi wakaaji wa mlima pande hii tunasema ya kwamba kwa ile serikali ambayo inakuja tunataka one man, one vote, one sharing.
The leaders criticized the Kenya Kwanza government, citing systemic failures, rampant graft and poor governance as key issues plaguing the administration.
Elimu disaster, health disaster, kila kitu disaster. Lazima Ruto aende nyumbani.
Further, the leaders stated that Kenyans should not be compelled to do anything they are uncomfortable with, referring to the ongoing heated debate on livestock vaccination that is set to kick off in January 2025.
Sisi hatuna shida na chanjo ya foot and mouth. Hatuna shida na chanjo ya rinderpex, ugonjwa wa ng'ombe wa kawaida. Lakini ile tuna shida nayo ni wazungu wakuje hapa watuambia tuchanje ng'ombe zetu ziache kunyamba.
This development comes on the heels of the president's stern remarks against those opposing vaccination efforts. Eunice Omolo, K24 TV.
And as promised, and also factoring, this is the last breakfast show of this year, that is 2024, as we now transit to 2025. This is a very crucial and important period as far as festivities are concerned. But there is the whole issue of the security around it. And now I'm joined by Bruno Shioso. He is the Director General of the Kenya Coast Guard Service. He served formerly as the police spokesperson, and in a Gazette notice that is on April 12, 2023, Bruno was appointed by President William Ruto to serve as the Director General of the Kenya Coast Guard Service for the period actually of 7 years. Previously, he served as the Commandant of the National Police College main campus in Kiganjo, and he previously served at the United Nations headquarters in New York as a transnational organized crime expert. He also served as the Deputy Director at the Banking Fraud Investigation Unit and as a long-time personal assistant to the former DCI boss Ndegwa Muhoro. Thank you so much for getting time. What an impressive career.
Thank you, Joel. Thanks for having me. For the record, my name is Bruno Shioso, the Director General of Kenya Coast Guard Service. Kenya Coast Guard Service is a relatively new service in Kenya, but we are charged with the responsibility of protecting our territorial waters.
What is the primary mandate? And by the way, do you have uniforms or?
Yeah, we have very beautiful uniforms, and we have a very humongous mandate. We are like what we call the police of the waters, with the focus of making sure that we protect our territorial waters. And when we talk about the territorial waters, we're talking about our waters to a certain extent within the oceans, all the lakes.
Also, all the lakes still fall under your mandate.
Under our mandate. And even we go further and talk about all the navigable rivers.
So even Lake Turkana is still
Yeah,
under
we
it?
have stations in Lake Turkana, we have
Lake
Baringo, Victoria, we have so many stations, around 3 stations, and we are trying to build more. Naivasha, and then at the coast.
So recently there was an uproar over your presence in Lake Victoria. What are you doing there exactly?
Lake Victoria, maybe before I go into that, let me just first of all try to expound on our mandate. I just mentioned that we are taking that responsibility of trying to protect, of protecting our territorial waters, but it comes with a host of other taskings or responsibilities. And these are geared towards making sure that the waters are very secure and safe for navigation and for all other activities. And specifically what we do is we try to enforce all the maritime laws on the waters. We try to make sure that we combat all the illegal activities and make sure that all our ports are safe.
Illegal activities?
Yes.
These might include fishing?
Illegal fishing, criminal activities, and so many others.
So even if I stay next to a water body, am I allowed to fish by the virtue that, you know, it's within my community land?
You are allowed to fish, you are encouraged to fish, and that's all, the whole concept around what we call the blue economy. So people are supposed to get into the water and do the activities, but there are issues of compliance with the law.
Oh, so you need a license for you
need
to,
a license
to
from,
fish?
Yes, you need a license.
But not from the rivers, only the lakes?
The lakes, I mean, okay, the lakes, let's talk about the lakes, because the issue is that it should be sustainable exploitation of the resources. So there are some other regimes, legal regimes around that you have to comply with. And that's how we come in to support other agencies to make sure that the enforcement is up to par.
Which capacity of fishing? Is it the large scale, or even if I have a fishing rod, I can't be arrested if I don't have a license?
Any kind of fishing, whether it's artisanal fishing, the small scale fishing, or the bigger fishing like in the deep seas, all of it is regulated. And there's a way you have to go about it in terms of getting the licenses and the practice itself. So you must make sure that you go through certain compliance safeguards.
So how has the communities around these water bodies so far welcomed the Kenya Coast Guard Service?
Initially, it was a problem because, as I mentioned earlier, we are like the police of the water. And you see the public, citizens, and the police, you know, that tension all the time. When they look at you, they say you are the bad guys coming to disrupt the activities. But then we had to sit down and see, I mean, what best way can we be able to talk to them, I mean, to work with them. And we decided to take the softer approach, first of all, where we have to approach them, we sit down, we have discussions. So we have invested so much of our resources, of our energies, and of our time, trying to work with the communities towards the end stage. So what we do, we approach them through structures called the BMUs, Beach Management Units, where all the fishermen are supposed to be part of them. So we approach them, we sit down, we have discussions on sustainable fishing, on issues to do with safety, their safety again on the waters, because that's not a very key area. We try again to feed them, assist them with things like the safety jackets, the guards. We make sure that we inspect their boats to be that they're fully compliant. So basically, we work with the communities to make sure that they are well empowered, they understand their role, and we come in just to support them where necessary.
So dams and swimming pools?
Not really, but what happens is
when still under your mandate?
When there's an emergency, like let's say a drowning incident, we come in again, we support that because that's still part of our mandate.
So who are these Kenya Coast Guard officers? How are they hired?
That's a very good question because we are still a new agency. We have what you call a transition mechanism. So to start us off as a startup, we were built as a multi-agency by design. We are drawing officers from different agencies that have a mandate on the waters. So you'll find within us we have the Kenya Navy officers. We have the Kenya Police, who are formerly the Kenya Marine Police. We have officers from the Immigration. We have officers from the Kenya Revenue Authority. We work very closely with them. Kenya Ports Authority. We have Kenya Forest. We have Fisheries. A very key plank of officers again come from Fisheries. So they have come to form the Kenya Coast Guard Service, the startup. But then we are working now towards transitioning to an autonomous agency or service.
So how many officers so far?
Well, we have a good number of officers. Maybe we can't talk about it right now because, I mean, that's a security issue. But we have a good number of officers who are working on the assignments. but we are not yet up there. It's actually yesterday we were working on, we were launching our HR instruments, which will enable us now to be able to go out again to recruit more officers to have enough numbers to police the waters.
So right now, Kenyans, it is actually going to be a busy festive season, and this increases the maritime activities. What measures are you putting in place to ensure the safety of the Kenyan waters?
We have put in very elaborate measures, and not just now, actually for the rest of December, because we are trying to map it right from the Jamhuri celebrations up to Happy New Year. We have an operation all in place. What we have done is we've enhanced our operations along all the waters, right from the ocean, all the beach areas, just trying to target the revelers who are coming to have the enjoyment. Right into the lakes, we have more presence of officers. They are moving along all the beaches. We have more patrols in the waters for us to be able to respond to any incident that might be able to happen. We are again creating awareness to all the revelers, trying to tell them how to behave with the waters, what to do, what not to do, those kind of issues. So we have all the officers out there, and they're not working alone. They are working in a multi-agency kind of a framework with all the other officers again within the larger security sector. So you'll find the officers are at the coast, all the major places, busy areas with the police, and so many other.
So if right now I'm along one of the coastal beaches, how do I identify a Kenya Coast Guard? And at the same time, they're beach boys.
Yeah, you'll see very smartly dressed officers in uniform with, the tags showing Kenya Coast Guard services. You will see them with their names. They'll have, again, on top, they'll have some safety jackets. So they'll be visible. They're all over the place. You'll see their boats. Others will be on foot. So, identifying the officers is not a problem. They are all over the place and they're in uniform. So you'll be able to see them and identify them.
So how do you get to monitor and survey, especially the beaches where usually, mostly for the public beaches, they're usually crowded? Is there a limit you can give for those who access the beach? Or how do you get to ensure that maybe there is even an age bracket of who can enter the waters?
It's not really very easy to do that, especially on the public beaches. So all we do, we make sure that we are there, we have our presence with all our partners, the police and the rest of the people, tourist police, and we keep just vigil and in the main goal and make sure that nothing happens unbetold.
There actually will be a surge in the local tourists and as well foreign tourists in terms of
definitely, yes.
Language. Are your officers also trained on how to speak foreign languages in cases where
no,
foreigners cannot really communicate in English?
It's not a requirement. It's not a requirement as per now. No.
Okay. So how is the Kenya Coast Guard Service working with other agencies to monitor and secure maritime areas frequented mostly by tourists during this festive season?
Yeah. Yes, for this period we have operation orders which are multi-agency based, and every agency has a particular role they're playing. So we have a mechanism right from the national level up to the regional levels. Like at the coast, you'll find and recently you saw on the TV, the regional commissioner for coast. She's activated the local command center where all the agencies for the coast, they are domiciled. We are operating from there. You go to other areas like Kisumu, again, the same thing is happening. So we have a very robust framework of all agencies that we work closely together. We share intelligence, we share operations, we share even assets, and we all focus on the same job of providing security and safety on the waters.
Well, allow me at this juncture to take a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll be highlighting on the whole issue of drug trafficking, especially during this festive season, and how you're actually dealing with that, and of course, further understanding what the Kenya Coast Guard Service does. At this juncture, keep the conversation going via social media platforms at K24 TV, at Joel Chacha, as well on SMS and WhatsApp numbers at the bottom of your screens. We'll be right back with this conversation. Send your questions. Bruno Shioso will be right here to answer them.